Planning Commission, and if I could, Pettis, are you okay to do the pledge and the prayer, please? So if you all will stand.
Will you pray with me? Most gracious Heavenly Father, we're so thankful for the safety you've given us for us to arrive here today to work with the planning of our county. We ask that you give us the abilities to do the correct things for the citizens of this county. Father, we ask that you be with us. We also offer a special prayer today for our chairman and the loss of his sister. We ask that you comfort that family, that you put your loving arms around them and protect them. And our sincere sympathy goes out to them. Father, we ask that you be with this county, that you watch over us, that you guide us, that you direct us, and give us the strength to make this a county that, once again, the state of Tennessee says, as goes Rutherford, so goes the state of Tennessee. Father, guide us, direct us, and protect us. We offer this prayer in your Son's holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Do the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Pettis. All right, Gail, if you wouldn't call the roll, please.
Charlotte P. Chip Pinion.
Here.
Craig Lynch.
Here.
David Jones.
Here.
Jim Averwater.
Here.
Lee Bogle. Mike Cush.
Present.
Mike Bott.
Here.
Pettis Reed.
Here.
Rhonda Allen. Here. Jeff Phillips.
Present.
All right, thank you, Gail. We need now to do the approval of the minutes, and I will call on Chairman Jeff Phillips for that, please.
Thank you, Mike. I've reviewed those minutes. I find them to be in order and move that they be approved.
All right, thank you. And we have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. We have one item that is been removed, which is under paragraph C, item number 1. We will not be discussing the Leanna Recycling Convenience Center, so put a scratch through that item. So that brings us to new business, and item number A, submitted for preliminary plan review. This would be the Bluffs at West Fork. And this is call number 19-1008, 5 lots on 5.3 acres zoned RM, located on Sulphur Springs Road. Cedar Creek Properties is the applicant, and Danielle, if you would take it from here.
Oh, thank you. This 5-acre subdivision being proposed off Sulphur Springs Road involves 5 lots that will be accessed off of a common driveway. Lots 3 and 4 are dependent via an access, and they are less than 5 acres, so they do need approval from the Planning Commission for a waiver of lots measuring less than 5 acres off a private easement. Lot 5 will also use this access point. However, it does have the road frontage requirements along Sulphur Springs Road. They are proposing a 50-foot easement at the road, and then the easement will turn into a 30-foot easement. And so for that 30-foot easement, they'll also need a waiver because our requirements are 50 feet. We reviewed the plat, recommended some changes. The preliminary plan, and they've addressed all of our comments. They're providing a stream buffer. Did you have anything to add, Mike?
No, mainly it's just the waiver for the access, and then I think they have worked out everything with the driveway for the fire truck accessibility with Chief Farley, and they can discuss that. But other than that, I think all the items have been addressed. There was an existing house and outbuilding that's going to be removed. You can see on the final plat, or the preliminary plat on lots 4 and 5. But those will be removed.
What is critical lots?
They will probably most likely be, we will, they do have some minimum pad, minimum floor elevations. One, because of the FEMA flood zone along river, and then also this is a little bit of a depression, but they are including a storm drainage network to help with that drainage, and elevating the structures will, most likely with these two structures, will need to be a critical lot.
Mike, take that pointer, start at the road, show us that 50-foot easement, how it's going in, where it
Right,
goes,
right through here.
coming right through there.
Yes, sir. And I can try to dig up that driveway plan if you'd like me to. But essentially, there'll be a common driveway. It'll come back here, have a stub to the north for one, stub to two there, and then one through here that these two lots will share. So there, I
The
believe.
stubs are 30 then, is that what you said? This,
Well, there's, as it goes back in here, it necks down to 30 foot. There's a 50 foot at the road, and then it kind of necks down as it goes inside the subdivision.
Now, would that be a private road?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, private driveway. No, it won't be a public county road.
mailboxes on the road,
Well, being under 8 lots, they can have a bank of mailboxes, or they can do a single unit kiosk, whatever. So they're below the U.S. Post Office requirement for kiosks.
I believe in discussions with Doug that they do plan to have one unit though at the end of the driveway.
Okay.
This house is there.
That's what I understand.
Okay, so, yeah.
kids take the school bus at the
It's an
road.
old house.
At the road,
Yeah, school bus runs at the road.
I would say so. I would say so. I'd say that would probably be the gathering point there.
Distance is just
Mike, these, sitting on the river like that, these really have to be very attractive pieces of property. Is there any way that we know of or could know of any history of those lots being underwater or flooding or any of that kind of stuff?
I doubt it very seriously due to the elevations. It's called the Bluffs for a reason, because there is such a huge elevation change. Get to that. If there is one at I think Noah was involved last time.
Suitable soils.
we don't see no.
So this is the property here, and you can see the dramatic elevation change,
This is the
10,
lower side
20,
of the
30,
river.
40
This is
feet
the high side, so
down
it's
to the
kind of
river.
bluff.
So it's, like I said, it's called the Bluffs for a reason.
Thank you.
All right, so mailboxes are on the road. The 50-foot entry, including the stubs, are all private, so all 5 of those lots will have to share the cost and upkeep and maintaining, and that's going to be clearly outlined in any contracts on the homes, or, I mean, it's not really an HOA, is it? Or
I would say they would probably need something to.
Okay.
Definitely,
for
and
the
a maintenance
care and
agreement.
Maintenance of a
Yeah.
common
Mhm.
driveway.
all right. Okay. All right, what's the pleasure of the commission?
I have one question before we, so what kind of buffer are they required to keep between them and the river?
It's a 60 foot from top of bank, so, well, yeah, they're showing a buffer here. We might need to get them adjusted a little bit, from where they're calling the buffer.
I just know, to Jeff's point, these are gonna be attractive lots because of the river. I just wanna make sure that, you know, that they don't disturb a part of the bank that shouldn't be disturbed, that should be.
Remain undisturbed.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And will that be on their plat?
Yes,
Okay.
you'll see that next in the final plats.
Okay.
And a note.
But I think you'd have to be a billy goat to be able to get repelled.
I'd make a motion for preliminary approval.
with staff comments.
All right. And we have a second. All those in favor signify aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to the final plats. Paragraph B, item number 1 is also the Bluffs at West Fork. This is 19-2036, 5 lots on 5.31 acres, zoned RM, located along Sulphur Springs Road. Also Cedar Creek property applicant. Danielle.
Okay. So this is the 5-lot subdivision we just discussed as a preliminary plan, and just keep in mind that the structures they're showing are going to be removed prior to any construction. They'll be accessed off a common driveway, all 5 lots. However, 2 are reliant completely on an easement. And the 60-foot stream buffer is being shown on each of the lots 3, 4, and 5 that are the riverfront lots. And there is a note on the plat that the buffer shall remain undisturbed, and that's which note is that? I'm gonna read real quick. We should have a vegetative buffer note.
There's not one now, we'll make sure
Oh,
there's
okay.
one added.
And the property zone RM, all the lots meet the minimum lot sizes. They've shown the soil areas. They'll be able to,
That's 60 days.
the number of bedrooms probably won't be determined until the health department or TDEC reviews the lots. And they've addressed all of our comments. Again, they just need the waiver for the access easements, and the lots less than 5 acres measure off an easement.
Make a motion approved, subject to staff comments.
We have a motion and a second.
One quick question.
Any more discussion? Yes, Jeff?
Chairman, if I could.
Yes, sir. You're recognized.
How common is it for you to bring to this commission a preliminary and a final on the same day? And why are you doing it today?
I think mainly for the waiver, there's no real infrastructure improvements, there's no roads or anything that'll become a public asset, other than the dedication of right-of-way along Sulphur Springs Road. So, I mean, there's not really a delay in construction.
Some of the comments that were asked, even about the HOA, what are you going to do about that if we go ahead and approve the final?
And there's a road that we don't see, that you said you see and make sure you're okay with, but it's not on our plan.
It was with the fire marshal and his access. Try to pull it up.
Oh, okay. Well, as long as everybody's seen it and okay, that's,
Should there be a comment about an HOA? Should that be in there?
That's a good point.
Yes. I would say,
There it is.
Looks like this is coming off Sulphur Springs, and then this goes.
so, like I
Yeah,
said,
let's see, here it
they're all
is.
gonna share a driveway.
yeah.
So at what point, let's just say 20 years down the road, these people petition for this to become a county road. Is there some line that we say that there's a number of houses built on an easement that we will make it a county road, or
It's,
do they stand any grounds to have this assumed by the county? I mean,
there are private roads that have been asked to be taken over by the county. And
that have
I've-
been
I've
asked or have asked?
They have asked.
Have asked. Okay.
And I've told them the same thing every time. It was not built to county standards, and it was not inspected by county staff, so we cannot accept that road.
So if some point in the future they want to make this a county road, their only choice is to reconstruct this road
Yes.
to make county standards.
Yes.
I mean, is there a political process that can bypass that with their county commissioner? Not saying that they would, but I just want to make sure that we've got a limit on the number of houses to prevent people from saying, hey, we've got enough political pull to now have my road
Well,
rebuilt by the
that's
county.
a $64,000 question above my pay grade. That there's always somebody that's going to ask, and I don't know how their relationships with the political higher ups would change, but in our subdivision regulations, if a road is not built to county standards and inspected by a county employee, we cannot take it. And that's it.
I can sort of answer some of that. I've got a subdivision in front of my house, and it was built similar to this, and they requested it be a private drive. At the time that they did that, there were possibly 3 houses on that. Now there's close to 20. And they're continually in a situation back and forth. The road is not what you would call the best road you'd ever want to be on. It has a lot of problems whenever it rains. There's no drainage was ever figured into that road. It's totally gravel. It washes. And I've had those residents on my front porch quite often. Can I get this turned into a county road? And I have asked that question time and time again. The only way it can become a county road is that it is rebuilt to county specs. That any subdivision development would be required to build. In other words, they've got to go back and tear that road out to the point where they would build it to that standard, putting the depth of gravel, the bedrock, the drainage, and build it all the way back. To build that road back for that subdivision, they were looking anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million to put that back in there. And so it would come out of the pocket of those individuals who own those homes. They are currently in the process right now getting ready just to pave that road. And that's all they're getting ready to do, is just to put gravel on it and just pave it to the point to get rid of the gravel and what they're doing there. But no, there's not, I'm not saying that somewhere out there when I'm no longer a commissioner or there's something in the far off future, but now that's the way it stands right now, that the only way you can be changing these roads back, and it's by our regulation here and by our codes and what we have here, is that the roads have to meet the requirements of our regulation, and that's the only way you can get it put back.
So as I recall, our regulation has a limit to the number of homes that can be on a private easement, but we have been known to give waivers to that. Now, at what point do it say, if I'm number 3 on a private easement, okay, my neighbor and I can maintain that easement, but then suddenly a 4th, a 5th, an 8th, a 20th gets added to that same private easement, and then my road's getting destroyed in a hurry, and there was nothing put in the early documents about a maintenance agreement or who's responsible for the cost of that, and we're having trouble getting fire trucks in and services and whatever. At what point do we say no to add to the number of houses on an easement? We have a regulation that we essentially step around on a regular basis.
This body would be the place to say too much. When they ask for another waiver for the 15th to the 20th lot, this body would say, no, that's too much.
And a lot of that could come from staff recommendation as well.
Now going back to care and maintenance, there are other avenues. You know, Greg Brooks has got another road board meeting this morning. He would be here if they didn't, but with their public works division, they have the ability to go in and help improve some situations, but they would not take it over, would not maintain it. So if there were some drainage issues, there were some, light duty maintenance that they felt that they could, for the common good, they could take care of, they would do that as a public works entity. But that's up to the
And that's what I'm
of-
trying to avoid, is
Yes, sir.
essentially I'm paying because some other person was too cheap to put in a proper
sir.
road.
Right.
And they didn't charge any less for that lot that they sold.
Yes, sir.
Then I had to pay a premium price just like, and they probably paid the same thing that I paid, but mine includes a road and I'm gotta pay for their road too. That's where.
That's
the problem
that goes to
comes in.
Greg's discretion and the road board as well.
Mike, I made a motion to approve this. I would like to add the language about the HOA into that motion.
All right, we would need a second to the amendment to that original motion. I may have a second. So as the motion stands, we have a motion to approve based on staff comments that will include the establishment of an HOA. Is that clear? All right.
Repair and maintenance of the road.
Yes, sir.
and Drainage network. And
Yep.
Just be added to that last one.
Mailboxes and whatever.
mailboxes and any other common feature.
If, you know, if they build a big brick pipe thing mailbox, somebody will need to maintain it.
So all those in favor, signify.
I thought we were still
Yeah.
doing discussion.
Okay.
So you were gonna also, as part of your staff comments, amend make sure the vegetation.
The stream buffer.
is
We will
on
add
there?
a stream buffer note.
Okay. I'm ready to vote.
All right. If no more further questions, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, item B2 is Paulette Grip, item number 19-2037. This is 2 lots on 5.5 acres zoned RM, located along Poplar Wood Road. Bryant Grip is the applicant and includes a fire hydrant waiver. Danielle.
Yes, this 2-lot subdivision on 5.45 acres in the RM zone is located off Poplarwood Road, and they are creating an additional building lot. Track 2 already has an existing residence that will remain upon the recording of the plat. The reason that you're considering this plat today is that the water line cannot support the installation of a fire hydrant in this area. This information was provided by CUD in a letter that was included in your packets, and all of our comments have been addressed.
Poplarwood Road is actually in the town of Smyrna. That is nearly across the street from
The boundary of
the school complex over there.
Make a motion to approve, subject to staff comments.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Pinnacle Hill, Section 2, item 19-2038, which is 10 lots on 5.1 acres zoned RM, located along Rourke Lane. Park Trust Development LLC is the applicant.
This 10-lot subdivision, Pinnacle Hills, Section 2, is located on 5.11 acres on RM. It's located along Rourke Lane, and they have addressed all of our comments during the plat review. All the lots meet the minimum lot size. Did you have anything you wanted to add
No,
regarding this?
they are acquiring a little bit of CUD property. That's what this original property line is, and that's, I assume, been worked out with CUD and transferred and everything. So that's what this original property line was for. But other than that, we're financing it over.
Make a motion to approve, subject to staff comments.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any
I have a question.
discussion? Yes, sir.
This is step system, I would
Yes,
say.
sir. Right. And each one has the step system, tank and easement,
Yeah, I can see it
and
there.
then the driveway. And I guess because of the narrowness of the lots, they're gonna need the plot plans for CUD, I would assume, since they're all shown.
Right out there behind the new high school.
Right.
Rockville
Yes, sir.
High School.
Right. Pinnacle Hills, it's a continuation of that. I'll show you. So it would be in the new Rockville High School's up here on the top of your screen, and then this would be the continuation of Ruark Lane, this section 2 of Pinnacle Hills. Not far, but there's a substantial hill between them.
Yeah. Yeah, by the quarry. Okay.
That was an old state quarry for
There's a quarry.
Highway 99.
All right.
Borrow pit.
Borrow pit, sorry.
Yeah.
That quarry was used to build the high school.
All right. So we do have a motion and a second. If no further questions, let's take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, last on final plat approval is South Haven, Section 7. This is 19-2039, 40 lots on 14 3/4 acres zone PUD, located along Desmond and Allwood Avenue. South Haven Development Group, LLC, is the applicant. Danielle.
Thank you. South Haven Section 7 involves 40 lots on 5.11 acres, and it's zone PUD. And they've addressed all of our comments. The subdivision's located on a step system. We have asked for additional information regarding the mail kiosk, and they have provided to us that it's going to be located in the amenity area, and we anticipate submittal of that kiosk plan for the next cycle that will review plats and plans. And apart from that, the plat's in good order, and we recommend approval.
Do you recall how many sections South Haven is anticipating?
Oh, total sections? We just had a pre-con on section 8, which is directly to the east on Desmond Drive. Desmond Drive crosses the creek between these two sections, and will add a much-needed connection between the two roads. Pull up. 7 is going right here. 8 is right here. 6 is under construction as well. But to answer your question,
At least 14.
14 sections.
14, okay.
And eventually, there will be another connection to Stewart's Creek subdivision up here. So there'll be another way in and out. Kittywood Drive, I believe, would connect as well. This area that you can see has been farmed will be another step system on this area in this corner, but they'll have a road connection between the two that will link all of these together from Ocala all the way up to Burnt Knob.
All right.
And 7 and 8 will connect the two legs that are for South Haven that are growing north here. It will have a connection between the two, and I believe the creek's right in here.
Yeah.
They're crossing the creek with a box culvert bridge right in here. Just a little background.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And the kiosk that you
Kiosk.
talked about is just for this Section 7?
No. Well, it's confusing. I wish Doug was here, but I believe the earlier section started with mailboxes, and then the U.S. Post Office changed their rules, and we transitioned into mail kiosk. But I think all of the new sections are going to be at the amenity center, or
I believe everything from 7 up.
okay, all the 7 and above will be at this amenity center here.
Okay.
Many total sections, 15?
14, I think you said?
At least 14.
At least 14. They might do some subsections where they split them up a little bit.
So how many houses will be in that one mail kiosk?
A lot.
There's
570 approved for the whole PUD, I
Right.
believe.
And then there are,
About 100 already.
yeah,
laid.
on the ground.
Getting them in,
So
like
about
Congress.
400 or 500, yeah. It's going to be a popular place. Yeah.
So, all right, let me make sure I'm clear.
They're all lemonade,
You're,
huh?
you're nixing the mailboxes for the first phase, and everything's going to be a kiosk?
Nope.
No,
The
they,
first phase.
The
they
first-
still will have
first few
mailboxes.
phases, if you've got a mailbox and you're receiving your mail, you're grandfathered in,
Okay,
from what I
all right,
understand.
all right.
If you're not receiving your mail, you've got to go to the amenity center
So,
to get your.
so the amenity center will be designed with a ginormous kiosk that will have to be designed to handle traffic for approximately 400 houses?
Well, as far as I know, and Richard helped me here, This is Richard House. He's with the.
Congratulations, Richard, yes.
I haven't actually seen the plans. Other guys in our office are doing it, but it's going to be the amenity center. It's going to have the pool and everything else. So it's going to have parking associated. How much parking, I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
And there might be an opportunity to put another mail kiosk somewhere, but I don't know.
I think they're going to try to put one on the other side of the gas line back in that section 11 area, somewhere back in there, I believe.
This is a Colonial Pipeline that transects through the site. So what Richard's saying is there might be another
Somewhere back in that area.
here.
Yep. Okay. But this current vote that we're doing today does not necessarily include the kiosk?
It does not.
It's not proven.
Be a separate site plan.
It'll be a separate site plan.
Okay. We're not waiting on a design.
No, but these houses cannot have their final certificate of
Until
occupancy
that's done.
Until that's done.
All right. But that's not going to delay our vote.
No, no, sir.
Okay. Just wanted to be clear. Thank you, Richard.
No problem.
All right, questions for staff or Richard?
Move to approve with staff comments, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of this approval signify aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, moving on to site plan approval. C2, as a reminder, item 1 has been pulled. This is a Verizon Wireless checkerboard site on Bradyville Pike, item 19-3034. This is new construction of a 155-foot monopole telecommunications tower and ground equipment on a 20-acre site, approximately 100-foot by 100-foot lease area zoned RM, located along Bradyville Pike, and Verizon Tennessee Partnership is the applicant.
Thank you.
Danielle, thank you.
The Verizon Wireless checkerboard site is located off of Bradyville Pike. This particular telecommunications tower went before the Board of Zoning Appeals in May and received approval for the special exception for the tower in the RM zone. The site is over 20 acres. They're leasing 100 by 100 feet, but however, there's only going to be a 40 by 40 fenced area that will contain all the ground structures as well as the tower. The applicant has addressed all of our comments. We asked them to provide us an aerial to show the existing vegetation. It will be the ground equipment and fencing will not be visible from the highway. They are also proposing to preserve some trees, shagbark trees, for the bat habitat. And we recommend approval. They meet all of our development regulations.
Consolidated have a water tower there, is that what
They
that
did.
is? And that we're
It was
sharing-
interesting.
Sharing the access, is that what we're gonna do?
Well, they're going, the access, they're still working on the access point. They may actually consolidate it with the existing access point that's used for the home because of site distance along Bradyville Pike being a state road. That corner that you see, which I thought was a cemetery because it was such a tiny corner, that water tank is no longer there. So it's not being used by Consolidated Utility. However, they still own that small piece. Hope that answers your question.
Danielle, will you go, or Mike, will you go back to the page you were previously on, which was, I believe, the site plan that showed the note about, yeah, there we go. The top left-hand corner, to my knowledge, in my history on the Planning Commission, we rarely see a note about an endangered species. So I'm more curious than anything. As a planning commission, when we see a note like that, is there anything we need to do due diligence on our end, or is it safe to assume that all the paperwork and T's have been crossed and I's have been dotted prior to this hitting our screen?
Well, apparently the consultant identified a nesting site for the endangered Indiana bats. So scaly bark hickory, dead trees are typically nesting sites for these bats. So they're trying to preserve, that's the purpose of this. But as far as what we see, we typically rely on the state to tell us that this is an endangered species nesting site. So when they apply for the state stormwater permit, they also look at threatened and endangered species, not just animal, but plant life too. And they kind of say, hey, you need to do something special here. So we rely on that.
Who brought that to your attention?
The
plan.
design engineer.
The design engineer indicated that the shagbark tree was to be preserved. However, Mike called that it
Yeah.
needed to be preserved for that specific reason. And if you're a contractor in the field, it probably helps to know why you're working around these trees.
Well, I had when I was in a private consulting job, we had a project at the Nashville Airport, and they had an Indiana bat nesting site. And, I've lost a lot of sleep over shagbark. That's where that comes from.
But I,
Scaly bark hickories?
yeah.
Do you have Indiana
I got a lot of
bats?
scaly bark hickories. Does that mean I got
I don't
Indiana
know.
bats?
Probably
Looking
do.
for bats.
They love that. They love the bark when the bark curls up.
Yeah.
It provides a nice little nesting site for the bats.
Never heard of that.
Bats provide, a great service to us to help the mosquito population.
Well, I guess to further fine-tune my question or statement, as a government body here, do we have any culpability or responsibility to do anything at this point with that note? Have we done all we need to do, or could there be any backlash from EPA or the Sierra Club or somebody like that that says, hey, you approved this, and knowing that this was a detriment to the Indiana bat community?
Right.
And that's what reason I asked the question. Or can we just say we've relied on the state?
We rely on the state. We rely on any information that's brought forward to us, by the design engineer, or, if they are reducing, they're leasing a 100-foot spot, but they're only disturbing a 40 by 40. They're limiting their footprint, and they're preserving those types of trees. So they're going above and beyond, I would think, anything that we have on our books right now to meet the endangered species in this area.
Okay.
So, but to answer your question, like I said, we don't require environmental impact studies on every development. I mean, that would be regulation change if we needed that.
Okay. I guess the fact that this note is on this plan, and now that we have seen this note, maybe I asked Nick, are we in any kind of anybody's crosshairs to say, hey, we've approved this, even though a bat may be upset because we've approved this?
It's been a minute since I looked up any endangered species law. But to me, this is almost similar to like the sinkhole, where you're given evidence that there are sinkholes present, and you know that they're indicated on whatever plat you're looking at, and taking further steps to hire somebody to go out there and verify or make sure it's filled correctly, that's kind of on the developer. And so for you here, it's there, and you want to make sure it's indicated so that people that are buying these lots know. And that's the way I'm looking at it from a culpability perspective. It's on here. You can't go out there and make sure that the developer, the contractor, actually does what this plat says that they're gonna do, what the site plan says it's gonna do. But if you want me to look more specifically, I can see if there are any specific regulations for local governmental entities on this. But per what Mike's saying, relying on the state is probably pretty good.
We have to use the best information we have available, and, we rely on information provided to us by the design engineer and their surveyors and whatnot. And Danielle brought up a good point that this is reviewed at the federal level as well because it's a communications feature, so.
All right. I'll just say for the record that this commission loves the Indiana bat.
Yes, sir.
And we would like to have all best management practices
Yes, sir.
done to
Tennessee bad.
do whatever possible to preserve. All right. Do we have any more discussion? Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the site plan as presented and with all staff comments and member comments.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. All right, that concludes that. We're ready for old business. Do we have any old business? All right. I know we have some reports and other business to discuss, so Danielle and Mike, take it away.
Okay. Doug wanted us to bring up on your iPads, there is a plat approval, final plat approval expiration PDF that he's put together. What Rutherford County does, the town of Smyrna, Williamson County, Davidson County, and the city of Murfreesboro. And you've experienced this where a final plat receives approval and 6 months down the road, 180 days, the approval expires. And due to any number of reasons, during the construction process, the approval process, getting all the signatures, the approval here has expired. They come in to record the plat or get it signed by Doug or Danielle, and we find out it's been expired. We have to bring it back to this body to get it reapproval. So what Doug and Danielle have looked at is maybe extending the approval process from 6 months, 180 days to 1 year. The town of Smyrna has 24 months. Williamson County has a 60-day approval, which we think might be way too short. But Davidson County and the city of Murfreesboro both have a 12-month or 1 year approval thing. So that's kind of what we're looking at doing is, and this is just for information right now for y'all to digest and look into, is do we want to go from 180 days to a year, 12 months, to give the development community more time to address their problems and get everything satisfied, and then come back and get the plat signed by our staff? Or do we need to stay at 180 days? So,
Does the staff have a recommendation, Danielle? Have you been looking at it? Do y'all have a recommendation?
We think it could be relaxed. It's actually a shorter window for minor plats. It's only 60 days. And usually families, we see 1 or 2 lot subdivisions. It can really mess things up for these people who are just trying to record their plat to create a lot for their child. And that's only 2 months. So we think that it could be extended to a year to be consistent with the other jurisdictions and to be more flexible. Or you can continue to see reapprovals.
Is there any?
A lot of times because of backlog and the state won't approve, septic system, and that's become an issue, and we've had to bring plants back.
We undoubtedly put this 180 days on there for a particular reason way back when. Is there any downsides to taking it up to 12 months?
I'm not aware of any. I mean, it's just a lot of times we tell, it's comment number 1.
Mm-hmm.
This plat is approved for 180 days, when they submit a plat. Just letting the development community know you have a short window for an approval, make the best use of it, but a lot of times that falls on deaf ears or Their problems arise, that they can't get all the signatures that they need. Needs to be a redesign or something, so that delays happen.
Does this cause more work or require more of your time now than if we extended it?
It's more of
No.
a formality. We have to bring the final plats back to you guys, and typically it's on like a night meeting, just so we don't lose a whole month. The developer doesn't lose a whole month of interest payments or whatever on their development. So it's just a formality. We'll have to, like, it's approved 6 months ago, 7 months roll by, and they come to sign the plat, like, oh, well, the approval's expired, we need to get planning commission to reapprove this.
Or would you
So,
do the minor plats and major plats to a year?
I would think so, to be consistent with each other. I mean, so there's not a,
Can you remember a time when we didn't approve the extension?
I'm thinking,
During the downturn, we had some,
yeah,
we had some, that the regs changed and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But outside of that, I don't remember any of them. They all seem to sail through. I certainly wouldn't have a problem with it. I think it'd be beneficial to individuals that are, like Danielle said, looking to do a lot for a child or something like that. Those people are inexperienced, so I think to give them a year, particularly with the soils deal and the state approved septic tanks, which is
Especially since you have such a hard time now finding someone to do your soils
yeah,
or
boy.
whatever.
I've been
And-
6 months on a deal.
And what I'm looking at, if the city of Murfreesboro and if Smyrna is already 24 months, wouldn't it be more a situation where we're all on the same rotation there, or the same length of time? It gets everybody somewhat thinking in the same direction. I mean, I can see where it could work better, maybe.
If there's no downside, I'm all for relaxing restrictive covenants through the government. So if there's no downside, I would suggest that we kind of move forward and present this to the planning commission at a whatever appropriate time.
I think August.
Require a public hearing?
yes.
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 So I'd just say let's go ahead with it, and we'll at least put it on the agenda, and we'll have some discussion. Don't you guys think that's maybe an appropriate thing to do?
Add some
There was
consistency.
another item that Doug wanted us to bring up as well, regulation change.
Oh, it is minor dedication of right-of-ways, these small two-lot subdivisions that we require.
Right.
Dedication of right-of-way. If it's dedicating right-of-way, our subdivision regulations automatically puts it into your consideration because that's the way the subdivision regulations are written. Not like major construction of roads or anything like that, just someone whose property line goes to the center of the road and they're just carving off a lot and they think that it's a minor subdivision, and it is, but then they have to wait and be placed on the agenda, and we have talked about it internally that maybe it might be a little more customer friendly to the smaller developers or homeowners to eliminate that minor dedication of right-of-way.
We had a case on Shady Lane, and I knew the people. They cut off a lot for their daughter. They had come up and dedicate right away for Shady Lane
That's
because
right.
it is so narrow. So this would eliminate them having to come up here is what you're talking
But
about.
we still require the dedication.
Right.
It would not
Right.
come to this body.
Right, it would eliminate them having to wait for that.
It would be done from an administrative perspective. And
That's correct.
Are there any cases where we would not want to have right-of-way dedicated to us?
We have had a situation recently where an old structure was located
Right.
within that area that would have been dedicated,
It
but
would
we,
cause a setback encroachment. So we said, if you can give us a permanent
reservation.
maintenance, a reservation of area that we can work on the right-of-way, the ditches, the roads and whatnot, we're not gonna make you dedicate that right-of-way, but it's a reserved area that you cannot build in the future.
And And we consulted with Greg Brooks.
Right.
Before we allowed that,
So-
difference.
Right, so he has what's called a prescriptive easement, so he maintains from fence to fence, ditch to ditch, in between the roads and the road itself. But like Danielle said, a lot of the deeds go to the center line of the road. And anytime we see a plat, we ask that they dedicate that right of way, so it's part of our inventory and it's clear that we have rights to maintain that property.
It is a more user-friendly, citizen-friendly.
It's more
type
citizen-friendly, yes.
of
You're
a
not gonna find the
process.
large developers really affected
No.
by this. This is gonna be like, mom and pop or, small families.
Would require also a revision in the regs, is that correct?
That's correct.
Why don't you just bring them both to us?
Okay,
Okay. That's the only other business I had.
yeah.
All right, does anybody on the,
Mike, just
Commission.
one
Yes, sir.
particular thing. Our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, the 8th of July. That'll be a 6 p.m. meeting. And for those of you that are wondering about Doug's absence today, he's not on vacation.
No.
His son is having surgery today, and it's a scheduled surgery, but it's still something that for his son is it's important. So you guys kind of remember that family as you're going through today, and I appreciate the training session this morning, Mike, and information that we received. It's just a continuation of the training that we've had the last couple of years that is much, much more meaningful to this body than any of the trainings that we've had in the past. We probably got off subject a little bit today, but it's what we needed to hear, not necessarily what they were prepared to say, and they gave us some good answers, and that's the type of a training that we appreciate and will help us in our future development as a planning commission. So thank you, staff, for putting that together.
all right,
Mike.
nothing else? This meeting is adjourned, and thank you for your attendance.